things had not worked out in the family, and whose fault was that?
Mine, because I had told Lyle.
And keeping your mouth shut, what did you think she meant? Shut about what?
About the stuff between Dad and I, and that I had told Lyle.
And now for what's trending in true crime, the Menendez brothers and their quest for resentencing. In LA County, the new district attorney there is speaking out about this polarizing case. He's the new district attorney just elected. Nathan Hochman has vowed to operate in what he called the hard middle while reviewing the brothers' case. It's a plan that he outlined in the sit-down interview with NBC Nightly News. Now, changes are underway within Hochman's office. So according to multiple reports, there are 2 deputies who sought to reduce the brothers' sentence have been dismissed. And Hochman has also weighed in on the option of separating the brothers' cases from each other in his review. Here's his stance on that topic.
While they're called the Menendez brothers case, there's an Erik Menendez case and a Lyle Menendez case. There's actually 2 different victims. There's a Jose Menendez, the father, and Kitty Menendez, the mother. So we will look at each case separately.
So this morning we are wondering, how could a separation of the brothers' cases affect their chances at freedom? Let's bring back in our guests who are standing by. We have attorneys Bob Bianchi and Kevin Brackett, and also joining us now, entertainment reporter and host of the Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered on YouTube. Kinsey Schofield is with us. So good to have all 3 of you here. Kinsey, let's start with you. The back and forth between district attorneys and what's being said publicly and what's going to happen once this actually does get in front of a judge has been making headlines since really the documentary came out, or that docu-movie that came out. Your thoughts on where we are now, especially in the court of public opinion?
Well, TMZ's Harvey Levin has suggested that the die is cast in this scenario. He was talking to Brian Friedman, who is representing family members that would like to see the brothers freed. And Brian Friedman agreed with TMZ's Harvey Levin that there are signs that Erik and Lyle Menendez aren't going anywhere and are expected to stay behind bars. By presenting Harvey with a claim Hochman made in an interview with Deadline that sexual abuse was not treated differently in the 90s, which Friedman disagreed with. You know, I think the tone here in Los Angeles is, wow, the fact that Ryan Murphy is capable of creating such a conversation, but the TikTok generation does not necessarily understand the law. It's not about whether they were molested. That is a mitigating factor, not a defense. It's about, did these individuals feel like their life was threatened at the point when they shot their parents?
Yeah, Bob, let's talk about that, because Kinsey's bringing up a really good point about this statement that was made by the new district attorney, not saying that he's going to overlook the sexual abuse, but that he believes that it was presented to the jury that found them guilty, that they had the ample evidence and they were able to consider it. But to her point, the TikTok generation wasn't around during that time to actually see everything play out in this case. What do you think about that look at it in terms of what the sexual abuse was and whether it should impact sentencing going forward?
You know, we have to stop worrying about the TikTok generation. We need to go on facts and we need to go on law. And this argument about the Menendez brothers always struck me, and I go back in my mind to all the homicide cases and convictions where people are serving life sentences that I prosecuted, and of course the mores and the world changes in that time period, but the legal defenses and the law in this particular case did not. These claims were brought forward to a jury evaluated those claims. As was noted, it does not amount to a quote-unquote legal defense, and the jury weighed in and convicted these 2 individuals. And now we're going back all these years later. Now it's different when you go back, because 30 years later, DNA evidence shows that the person was innocent. That goes directly to the heart of whether a person actually did the thing or didn't do the thing. And we should be very aggressive at those kind of issues. But when we are looking to the TikTok generation, court of public opinion, who decide to get behind 2 people who slaughtered 2 other people and let them go because we kind of feel that way, to me is ridiculous.
Kevin, Menendez brothers, we say it as a collective word, but they are two separate cases. There's really already a separation in terms of what it is on the docket. But do you think that they will be treated differently? And are there reasons that they should be treated differently as the prosecution reviews this case?
Well, each one of them is a separate defendant, and each one of them had to be convicted beyond a reasonable doubt for the acts that they committed. So, to that extent, yes. But if they were working in concert, then the acts of one are imputed against the other one, so that they are considered collectively. But I think the larger point, again, as Bob just mentioned, is that really the only reason we're looking at all this is because people think that they didn't get a fair shake on an evidentiary issue. Well, I was prosecuting in the mid-'90s. Susan Smith presented us with the same sort of defense about abuse and that sort of thing. That doesn't go to whether they did it. So all of this was litigated. This was well discussed back then. People knew. As a matter of fact, I think Dershowitz wrote a book in 94, 95 called The Abuse Excuse that talked about the prevalence of this kind of defense. So this wasn't novel back then. They weren't cheated out of an opportunity. And both of them had ample opportunity to present their defenses. So I'm glad that the new DA is taking a different look at this, because I always got the sense that Gascon was sort of like, what the proverbial to a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. He always looked for the injustice in every case, so he could always find something to stand on. This is just about the facts and the law. That's it.
And the voters voted on behalf of District Attorney Hochman instead of Gascon, even though that was something that he really was right in front of right before the election season. Let's listen back, though, to the new DA, again on NBC Nightly News, sharing his thoughts on what he thinks it will be like to get in front of a judge to endorse resentencing, not only for the Menendez brothers, but also for his office.
It's not so much a message, but a precedent, because the precedent of whatever we do in this case will apply to future cases that we deal with requests for resentencing. We have to be consistent.
Do you wish this was not on your desk?
Do I wish it was not on my desk? You know what? You're dealt the cards you're dealt with in this life.
There's been a public outcry in support of the convicted killer brothers. So our question now is, what's the next play for Menendez supporters? But also, what's going to happen if you have divided prosecutors in front of a judge? Kenzie, what do you think is going to happen as this case moves in terms of the support? And is there a different support for Erik versus Lyle?
I agree with the panel that we do have to move past the TikTok generation, but you are seeing Brian Friedman try to stir the base online. He wrote an email to the DA reprimanding him for meeting with only one Menendez family member, the one who's gone on record calling the two men cold-blooded killers and advocating that they stay behind bars. So I think what's next is they are going to continue to stir up conversation online and try to force their way, almost like the Free Britney movement we saw years ago at this point in time. I think that the sympathy is even towards the brothers and support is even towards the brothers. I don't know what else they can do other than complain and campaign online at this point in time.
And Kevin, I know we have to say goodbye to you for this block, so I want to get your last thoughts on this one. With the prosecution team being separate, we heard that from Gascon, that they didn't agree in his office, and you may see different arguments in front of the judge on whether or not they should be resentenced. How do you think that is going to impact things?
Well, I don't know how it works in the Los Angeles District Attorney's office. In my office, I'm the solicitor, I'm the district attorney. I'm the one who makes that decision. I listen to what my people have to say, but when it comes to court, we present a united front. So I don't live in a world where half my office can come into court and say one thing. I don't even know how a world like that works.
We will see how it all plays out. Kevin Brackett, thank you so much for your time, for being with us this hour. Bob and Kenzie are staying with us. We have a lot more to come.